Okay. All right. Hopefully I'm live. Let me go check. Oh my God. Oh my God. I won 2 things this week. Yep, we live.
All right, y'all. We live at the Cardology Open Mic. Welcome, welcome, beautiful fam. We got Aquarius Maximus and Nina Diamond in the house. I am your host, Jazz Aphrodite. As every week, we come to you live on Tuesdays to answer your cardology and numerology questions. So come through, family, come through. While we're waiting for you to come into the house, we wanted to discuss today's energy. So, how has this 5 of spades been treating y'all?
Whew.
Yes.
I went out and I walked up Stone Mountain, and I'm telling you, I felt so invigorated that it was crazy. I really had a good time out with that. You know, that 5 energy, you got to push, right? It's like it's my moon card, so I got my feelings. I was like, why are you on this mountain? But I had a good time, but I really was questioning my reasons for being up there though.
I'm sorry, y'all. I gotta put on my better speaker because the speaker I got right now on is not the good one, and I'm trying to get the better one on, but it ain't working. I know you cannot, and I'm on live. I'm on live.
We can hear you.
I got the 3 of diamonds off the chain right now. Hold
we
on.
gotta use this 4 clubs while she get her abode and her situation settled.
I'm just trying to get a better sound because I got y'all coming through my other sound and it don't sound good.
I'm not saying we're related tonight.
Oh, why? Can I look bad? Do I look bad?
Yeah, you do. What you doing right now? Tony says she want to hear more about the 2 of diamonds being an oracle. Of course you do, Tony. Yeah, the 2 of diamonds.
She wants to profess that she is the oracle. Yes. She is the one people are coming to in the matrix looking for direction. All the time we looking outside and it's Tony.
2 of diamonds is like, talk about me. Sybil said, "Oh, Sybil! Oh my God, Sybil in the house." You know that Tavana's name is Sybil too. That was one of her childhood names, Sybil, because she had lots of personalities.
Multiple personalities.
I was getting. She said she was getting lots of downloads. Your name is Sybil.
Oh God, you trying to say she crazy?
That's the 5 of spades working real well today.
Yes. Yes.
Hi everybody. I know there's a bunch of people from my side of the town this time. I noticed like with y'all folks on your thing, y'all had a lot of ladies, but I think we're gonna have a lot of fellas today. So I hate to tell y'all that right now because I got like a lot more fellas on my side. But
oh my God, the competition starts.
Listen, we welcome the fellas too.
We welcome everybody. We are equal opportunity.
We want the fellas. We love y'all guys. I know you sometimes y'all gotta forgive us because we be coming down kind of hard.
Speak for yourself. Speaking for yourself.
I be coming down kind of hard sometimes, but I love y'all. So just so y'all know, we love y'all. We love y'all. You know what I realized? I came to the realization last week that honestly, when it comes to just intellect and smarts, like I really truly do believe that Black men are the smartest on earth. Really, I do. However, smart doesn't always equate other things.
Disclaimer.
Because when I was thinking about smart, I was thinking about, y'all remember the story of Yakub, the big-headed scientist?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, y'all are Yakub, the big-headed scientist for real. That is the real jewel. I think that symbolizes Black men. So it's just the way that y'all soak in information and y'all got to know everything. Y'all be trying to know things we don't try to know. Like ladies, like we don't be trying to know. We only try to know things that are applicable to our current situation at the moment. You know what I mean? Right. But Black men, they want to know everything. You know what I mean? They want to know what is the color of the nebula on the other side of so-and-so. You know what I mean? The nebula is this color, and this is the reason why it's that color. So all of us women, we can't always hang with y'all. That's why y'all need your own space, because we can't always hang with that. You know what I mean? Like that is y'all thing, for real, for real. And I realize being in your circle sometimes, because I find myself often in your circles, I'm like, y'all are some brainiacs, seriously. And y'all just information junkies. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
Like that's your
mhm,
thing. Like we're information junkie. That's why y'all like taking over the podcast scene right now. You know,
mhm.
but so I definitely give that to you. I give that. You get your credence when it comes to that. So we talk about women be like wise and wisdom and all this other stuff. I'll say y'all are the intellectual giants for real. And one day you will have a chance to apply that wherever it's supposed to be applied. Because right now we got too much war going on for all the intellectual giants. You know what I mean? So,
Mm.
but one day it's gonna come in handy. It's gonna come in handy for everyone. So, I had to give that to y'all. I just had to say
And
that.
that's good, but that 400 years, we don't talk about that. We got to come out of that. Neptune is gone. We're in Uranus, and we cannot be in the pain body anymore. We got to let go. That's how they keep us trapped by talking about 400 years. I don't know anything about 400 years. My mom lived to be 99. I had my grandparents, and they never talked about all of that pain body stuff, thank goodness. So I think we need to contact our ancestors that we know and start doing that ancestor work and come out of those pain bodies, because that pain body is preventing us from being as great as we possibly can be,
Yeah.
because whether it happened or not, we're not in that time anymore. We have left Neptune, we have left Pisces, the age of Pisces, where all of the disillusionment was, and now we're in Uranus, and Uranus is wakening up things that you can't bring that pain with Uranus.
Mm-mm.
You gotta let that stuff go. We have to learn how to acknowledge certain things without the pain body, because the pain body is what's preventing us from our greatness. We can have things that have happened, but we're not in that energy field anymore. So we don't want to keep talking about things that no longer are they weren't beneficial then. And I know my ancestors don't want me to be in the pain body looking and talking about things that happened 400 years ago. So we want to come out of the age of Pisces,
Oh
right?
yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, just speaking of which, then from the age of Pisces on to Aquarius, the age of Pisces is a lot of belief systems. It's a lot of I still see now. I start to see a clear separation between people who are operating still in the Piscean mindset and
Mhm.
people who are operating on the Aquarian mindset. And the Piscean mindset actually brings a lot of pain. You know what I mean? Like that's where the pain comes from, because the pain comes from attachment. You got the Piscean attachment versus Aquarian detachment. You know what I mean? So the pain comes from being attached to things having to be a specific way, having to present itself a specific way, having to come from specific people. So that's why in the Piscean age, you got leaders, you got church leaders, you got religious leaders, you got spiritual leaders, and they are all the ones that this information has to come from, because you're attached to it, having to it has to be palatable for you, right? You
Mhm.
can't
Mhm.
take the shock of the new information. It has to
Mhm.
be kind of like worked in and massaged. And because really what it is you can't take the truth, right? You
Yep.
know how they say the famous saying, you can't stand you don't want the truth.
True.
You
Mhm.
couldn't handle the truth. That's Piscean. Like you can't handle the truth. So you need different ways to be able to make it palatable for you,
Mhm.
you know? But in the Aquarian age, just like give it to me hard and raw. You know what I mean? Like just give it to me. Just tell me. A lot of Scorpios are like that, believe it or not. A lot of Scorpios is like, don't try to sugarcoat it. Just give it to me. Just tell me. Even though it's an Aquarian thing. I don't like things sugarcoated. Even when people come and tell me I got a surprise for you, I'm like, what? What? Don't give me no surprise. Just tell me, like right now. Tell me, you know. But there's a clear definition in a transition. Pluto is getting ready to go into Aquarius For real, for real. And Pluto deals with extremes. So people try to say this isn't quote unquote the Aquarian age. The Aquarian age already started. The Aquarian age
Yep.
started when we came to America. It was the Aquarian age. We started doing things different from the moment we started. We were in America doing what we were doing, right? So now with Pluto going into Aquarius, Pluto deals with extremes. So you get an extreme dose of what the future is going to look like because Aquarius rules the future. It rules the ability to predict the future. It rules that portal you see into the future. So with Pluto going there, you're going to get some extreme visions and extreme representations of what the future is going to look like. And it may not all seal right away. You know what I mean? Like you might get
Mm-hmm.
a heavy dose of this, right? And then the
Mm-hmm.
government comes in and takes it away. Said, no, no, we can't do that. Just like crypto, right? We got
Yep.
it. Crypto was like a preview. We got hit with crypto. It was like the wild, wild west. Now the government is coming in and trying to say, no, we can't do this like this. We got to do da 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 da. So that's why you get these extremes. We get the freedom, and then when we mess up the freedom, we get prison. You know what I mean? Like you get too much freedom, then you don't know what to do with yourself, and you don't
Mm-hmm.
cause a whole bunch of chaos and mischief. Now they're coming in and smacking the cuffs on you. So that's the type of things you'll see with Pluto and Aquarius. It's going to be a tug, a push and pull of the Aquarian age. It's going to be like, whoa, where did that come from? But I'm not ready for it yet. You know what I mean? It's going to be that type of thing. So you're going to see some stuff that you ain't never seen before, like for real, right? But then you may get some backsies. They may snatch it back and say, well, that's not all the way true. You know what I mean? Let's put this on the guard a little bit, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to see that. And then Pluto is power struggles, right? But Pluto empowers whomever the sign rulers are when it goes into sign rulers. So when Pluto is in um, Capricorn, it empowered the government. You know what I mean? It empowers the status quo. It empowers older people, and
Mm-hmm.
that's who it gives the power to. But when it goes into Aquarius, guess who it gives the power to? Gives the
Young
power
folks.
to the Aquarian like individuals, the rebels, the this. And it
Mm-hmm.
also gives power to powerful women because Aquarius rules powerful women. They like to say feminists, but I prefer to say powerful women, women who are in charge, right? Is going to fall up under Aquarius. So that's why you'll see a lot more women, and you're likely going to see a woman president. You're likely going to see, as a result of a death, Pluto in Aquarius, you may see the death of the president and then a woman become the president as a result of the death, right? So Pluto is gonna hand over power to people, right? And you get to see what certain people are gonna do with that power. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Are they gonna do better than the people before? You know? So a lot of stuff going on with this. Hey Shaniqua. Seven of spades in the house. My wife and youngest daughter are all jack of clubs. Wow. You know what? Jack of clubs always tend to be in like big old families of jack of clubs because I know somebody else, they got a couple of jack of clubs. Same thing with ace of diamonds. There are like a lot of cards that kind of travel together. Ace of diamonds is the big one. You'll see ace of diamonds with ace of diamonds all around them. Like, man, you love yourself so much because you got ace of diamonds here, ace of diamonds here, and all around you. They feel comfortable with other ace of diamonds.
And eight of diamonds, we feel comfortable together too.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but y'all can't be all in the same place because y'all in charge. So you can't have like two just can't occupy the same
The
space. You
same
know what I
aura, the same space too, or too
mean? Yeah,
much.
y'all can't all occupy the same. Only time y'all could come together is if you was in a Senate, and all of y'all had senator seats. But other than that, y'all ain't gonna be able to be around each other for too long.
I find that to be shady.
She's trying to part ways between
Because
us.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
find
y'all be
that to
trying to
be
figure out who
shady.
trying to take who position.
I don't believe that.
Come through with the questions, fam. Come through with the questions about cardology. I see, Lance, you put in your birthday. You're a Scorpio. November 9th. So you're on a 9 personal year. Make way for the endings, make way for wish fulfillment. And also watch your health this year, watch your temper. You don't want to be exploding at the seams with all of that Mars energy. So speak
Ooh,
softly,
Mars
speak
is
nicely, but
yeah.
allow those things to leave that need to go out of your life because you are making way for the new to come in.
Yeah, when she's speaking about Mars energy is interesting because the North Node is going to transit into Aries, which is Mars ruled,
Yep.
right? And then Aries is going, Mars is going to transit into Cancer, which is going to exasperate the Mars energy, right?
Yeah.
That's like Mars in
Mhm.
Cancer. See, anything that goes into Cancer exasperates that energy, right? Right? So you're gonna see it's gonna seem like it's Mars on steroids in the summertime,
Mm,
and that also means that the weather is probably gonna be very hot.
Mm.
It's probably gonna be a very hot summer because of all of that Aries Mars energy.
Mhm.
And yeah, and people are gonna they're going for they're going for the gusto, going for their dreams, going to put that in order. So things are gonna seem like it's moving a lot faster too
Yep.
because of Aries and Mars. Mars
Yep.
and Aries together, that's like fast moving energy right there. So yeah, a lot of stuff with the police. I already said that it's gonna be some hellish things going on with the police when Mars
Mhm.
goes into Cancer. Because actually Mars, yeah, because Mars goes into Cancer. I think one of them goes on the King of Clubs day. I know Pluto goes in Aquarius on the King
Pluto
of
goes
Clubs
on,
day.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
And the King of Clubs is very, 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 very Mars kind of energy. You know what I mean? Even though it's ruled by Uranus, but it's still really Mars. It rules the police department. That's the King of Clubs.
Hmm.
So somebody asked about the Ten of Hearts. I love the Ten of Hearts because what I love about the Ten of Hearts is looking at a Ten of Hearts, you would swear that these are going to be the most social people, and they are not. They are not. And the
Hmm.
reason being is because they have an Eight of Spades in Venus. So wherever you have an Eight of Spades, it's going to be a challenge for you to be
Hmm.
that. But when you are that, you're going to rule. Like you're going to
Hmm.
win. You're going to be victorious because that's a victory card. But you have to have the willpower. The Eight of Spades is like an energy that tugs on you, right?
Mhm.
So, the Eight of Spades, the Nine of Diamonds is a transformation card to the Eight of Spades. And I consider the Nine of Diamonds to be the card for one of the cards for Black folks, right?
Yep.
So they used to always call us lazy, right? But that's because we got the Eight of Spades tugging on us, right? This big greatness pull is tugging on us, and we got to work extra harder to get things. So people want to understand, it's like, why is this so hard for us? Well, we got to work extra harder to get things, right? But extra harder means more success. When you get past that, when the obstacle is bigger, your success is bigger. You know what I mean? So that's why they're constantly putting so much obstacles for us, because number one, they're working in divine order and doing it. But number two, they know how powerful we potentially could be. You know what I mean? It is known with that Eight of Spades, like it is known that yes, we come in, we like, they say we like roaches, we take over. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
And that is the truth. Wherever we move into, what area we move into, we will take over, right? So the segregation thing was really implemented to keep us from taking over, not to keep us out, but to keep us from taking over. So if we get involved in things like technology and all of those things, then that is going to furthermore bring out the whole Atlantean thing we got going on. And you're going to really see how magnanimous
Cosmic.
we are. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So, we did it with music, but that was only there to inspire you, to show you. Beyonce's there to inspire you, to show you. Like one woman, a Black woman, can literally get into and be in an industry and be the biggest icon on the planet. Like literally, in about a couple hundred years, she's going to be in the pantheon of goddesses, right? They're
Right.
gonna be like, you remember the goddess Beyonce, and then even Jay-Z. You remember the god Jay-Z. You remember the god Tupac. These are how pantheons of deities are created. They could become great, and then they become elevated as a deity. This has been happening since the beginning of time. So we're making the future gods right now, right? So you shouldn't be tearing them down because, like, literally, these are the this everybody. No one's perfect. Let me put it to you like this: you think that those old deities was perfect? They
Mm-hmm.
wasn't perfect. If you even read the stories of how imperfect they weren't perfect. They weren't quote unquote necessarily the bravest. They weren't the nicest. They weren't the most righteous at times. None of that stuff. They had human qualities, they had flaws, they had imperfections. It's just that now imperfections are on the TV screen, they on the monitor, they come out, in the gossip blogs and all this other stuff, and they get carried all over the planet. So
Yeah.
you lose all of your thing about them just because you hear that they did this and they do that and blah blah blah, you know and we fail to realize that the lesson that we're learning right now is just how imperfect people are, but that doesn't mean that they can't be great.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of, they have a question here that's so powerful. CW, I'm a nine of clubs Aquarius and my dad is an ace of spades Pisces. He's been at my neck lately. I see that I'm his Saturn card. What does that mean?
Oh yeah. So let me put it to you like this: when you are Saturn to your parent, you are on level where they are wise and stuff like that, and that is very difficult for an older person to be able to accept, right? That they can't tell you anything. You know what I mean? They may try and you may not listen. You may be hard headed. You may whatever. But even though you might be as wide up there in wisdom in terms of spiritual wisdom, you obviously both came from a time where you in karma, where you had another karmic interchange and whatever. Even though the lesson is for you is to be the eternal student, even though you are the teacher, the eternal teacher. So it's
Mm-hmm.
best for you to humble yourself out and just be like, okay, whatever, dad. All right,
Yep.
great, da, 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 and not even argue. You know what I mean?
She don't even do that with her mother.
I do. Don't even. I don't like to argue, so I do. I'm the most non-confrontational person on earth. Thank you. But anyway, it's best for you to do that for your health and for
Mm-hmm.
his health, because when you talk about Saturn, it's health issues. So health issues evolve just because of the head button that would take place, and the mental head button causes health issues. Oh my God! Speaking of which, my brother done. Who y'all turn on the blender while I'm up here? Over here making smoothies and stuff. But but yeah, absolutely. So it's best to keep those things into consideration because having that Saturn connection, when if one of you loses one another, then you will be in the pit of depression, nine of clubs. You know what I mean? You will be
Mm-hmm.
very disappointed and regretful of everything. So that's Saturn is giving you the prescription and telling you what's going to happen when this goes down. You know what I mean? So eliminate the stress. And the Nine of Clubs lesson is to think outside of the box and find other ways of viewing things and other ways of communicating and stuff like that. It's asking you to stretch your brain, which you are capable of doing, and
Right.
he's capable of doing.
Greetings. I have a five of hearts, three of clubs, Pluto result. I'm a six of diamonds. Can you touch on what that means? What does that mean? So the Pluto card is a five of hearts, the result is a three of clubs, and they're a six of diamonds. Okay.
I'm sorry, y'all.
That's all right.
I'm trying to look for an old kid picture. Mom, can you send me an old kid picture? I know you got tons of them.
Please, please don't call
So
me
they said,
on
what was the
live. Please
question
call me
again?
Diamond on live. Thank you. I'm Diamond.
Could y'all stop blending? I'm literally on the live. Thank you. It would be the Queen of Clubs, the Lord of Disruption.
Ooh,
I
Diamond
got I
five.
got a name for all of them. Like the Three of Diamonds is the Lord of Discord and chaos. The Queen of Clubs is the Lord of Disruption. I have names of all of them.
What
Seriously,
you
like
call the Ace of
they're
Diamonds?
all the lords of something.
She said, "What do you call the Ace of Diamonds?" The
Oh my
devil.
God. The Ace of Diamonds don't even get a Lord title. They're just Satan.
Damn.
That's the
Damn.
wizard, though. Seriously, the Ace of Diamonds is the wizard, the warlock energy, wizard energy. There's no
I can see
Lord
that.
preceding that. They is. I is. That's what the
I
Ace of
can
Diamonds.
see that. Oh, all right, ladies. Five of Hearts, Pluto. Three of Clubs result. Diamond, what's that? And they the Six of
Um,
Diamonds.
Five of Hearts, Pluto, and the Three of Clubs result. So let me explain to you about the Pluto and the result. They work together,
Mm-hmm.
right? The result is you are going to get your gifts expressed through the result, but they could be just as challenging as the Pluto because anything that sits in the proximity of Pluto is under the chokehold of Pluto, right? So we look at the Pluto card like that's the big challenge, but the other one is challenging as well because it's being choked by Pluto. You know what I mean? And until you find a way to release that, then
Mm-hmm.
then that energy becomes the gift because you freed it from the block, right? So the block with the Five of Hearts, the block is not allowing it's not allowing yourself to play the game. You know what I mean? So the Five of Hearts is like playing the game of life, right? Getting out there and being spontaneous, showing up, not hiding, not disappearing, but being present at all times. Whenever you're being called on, being present, right? And the Five of Hearts is also about relationships, like understanding that there's a season for all relationships. Like this season might be over for this relationship. It may be time for a new season. Maybe it's time for a rebirth. And what type of relationship that is. You could leave somebody and they could become your friend. But if you try to hold on to them and it's toxic and it ain't working, then they only going to be your enemy at that time,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
So Pluto is transformative. Pluto can transform anything. You can transform a bad situation into a good situation, right? But you're going to have to release control. The hearts deal with people, right? So any heart in the people position is having any heart in the Pluto position is having to release control, having to let go of control of people, allow people to be who they are, allow
Mm-hmm.
people to have their freedom while in the process you find your freedom and etc. Five of Hearts is the ultimate freedom,
Yes, it is.
and you can reach that. You can reach a point where you finally feel like you've been released, like cords have been cut and stuff like that, and you try to. There are different types of endings of relationships. You got the Nine of Hearts ending of a relationship, and you got the Five of Hearts. Five of Hearts is usually more volatile, right? That's a volatile ending. That's usually something that has to explode just to make it end because it has a Nine of Hearts in Mars. So you
Mm.
need an incident to come along to make it end, right? But the Nine of Hearts, you've already made this decision that it needs to end. I'm going to end it. We're going to get divorced. We're going to release each other and da 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 da. So when you look at a Five of Hearts, understand when you're in a situation that needs to end, understand that there is going to be some messy situation that occurs to make it end. And then it's sitting next to the Three of Clubs, which is messy. That's drama, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Spirit is saying, I'm going to give you something real messy so we can finally end this once and for all because you won't let it end. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So it could be some drama that takes place. Three of Clubs is also war, like it's war. So you're thinking it's like a warring kind of situation. Oh, she said, yes, my baby daddy slept with my sister. Well, there you go. That is definitely a Five of Hearts kind of thing. That Five of Hearts is like beyond boundaries. There's no boundaries to what I can do. And Pluto is sex. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So, but the reason is saying that it happened is because it takes something that shocking for you finally to be like, okay, I'm done.
Yep.
Like you called it to yourself because
You wouldn't
it
let
was
go.
already other things there, but nothing was shocking enough. So something else shocking had to happen to free you.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Ace of Diamonds wants to know they're 36. What to expect this year?
Age 36. Let's look at the grand solar spreads
Yeah, let me pull it
for
up.
age 36. Hold on. I should have just had this open and then I wouldn't
I
even.
got it. 36 for the grand solar squares is, and the
Oh, they
winner
sitting
is,
in trans Pluto. Oh,
and it's a, what card is it?
Ace of
Oh yeah.
Diamonds.
They in the
Wow.
crown
Yeah.
position?
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's why they there. Okay, so
but
that's
they
why
got an
you up
eight of,
here right
but
now.
they have an eight of spades in Mercury, the space in the eight of diamonds. So 36 is definitely going to be an interesting year for you. And trans Pluto is a high octave of Pluto, and this is about you. So this is a year where when things happen, you got to go inside. You know, Pluto is personal. It's those intimate relationships that are going to come along. You can't look at other people as any kind of fault or anything. You have to do that work because trans Pluto is taking you, if you're 36, trans Pluto is taking you for the next 8 years on a once in a lifetime, you know, where you're going to end up in Jupiter. So
Mm,
trans Pluto is helping you to let go and release relationships, let go and release things that no longer serve you. And it's going to challenge you. It's the 10 of clubs, which is a master teacher. But the Jack of Spades is challenging you because this is the beginning of your initiation.
mm-hmm.
So you're going to be initiated, and you know what are initiations? It depends on what the references that we use, but it could be initiated into a new relationship, new lifestyle, new anything. But letting go of as much as you possibly can of those things that are going to come along and trigger you. There are
Right.
going to be people, places, and things you sitting in the sun that are going to test you to see if you're ready for the next step. Because
Yeah,
next year you'll be displacing the Jack of Spades.
trans Pluto is the fictional point which deals with flushing yourself of all the self criticism that you do that prevents you from being on top and being a leader, right? Everybody
Mm-hmm.
can't be a leader because most people are afraid of the darts that get thrown at leaders, right? So before you got here at 36, at 35, you was displaced in the seven of clubs. So you were learning
Mm-hmm.
the lessons of not caring what people
Mm-hmm.
think about you, not caring about what people think and not caring about what people say. Lizzo, is her name right? Lizzo, right? She's a seven of clubs, right? So she's the ultimate representation of that. So when she wears a thong to go up on the stage, it is to show you, I don't care what you think about me. I'm going to be me. And that's the ultimate of the seven of clubs. The ultimate lesson is to not care what people think, right? And that's a very important lesson for most of us because that's what cripples us with
Mm-hmm.
perfectionism and self-criticism and stuff like that. And we don't get our job done. We don't get what we came to do. We wrestle with it because we care about what everybody else says about it and what everybody else is saying. So that year you were supposed to be getting over that. So you would wind up talking to people and telling them your plans, and they wouldn't have nothing but criticism and negative things to say. You wouldn't get a whole bunch of nothing, right? So you either make that final decision to say, you know what, bump this. I'm gonna go ahead and do this anyway. I don't
Right.
care what people say, or you could get stuck, which is like the Queen of Spades types of thing, and you need more spiritual work just to help you to overcome your mental challenges, the mental challenges that are preventing you from just doing this, right? I tell people when they got a seven of clubs, and you better not, this is a time when you want to probably keep your plans to yourself. You know what I mean? Because the hidden power to the seven of clubs is the ace of spades, right? So move. Then when that phrase they say move in silence. That's the seven of clubs, right? Shock them,
Mm-hmm.
to bring it out, shock them, right? So you were supposed to be learning that, and then by the time you get to the eight of diamonds year, now you can claim your crown because you was just like bump it. I'm gonna do me, and I'm gonna do it with the spirit of excellence, and I don't care who likes it and doesn't like it and what they have to say about it. And then now you can claim the crown, because the only way you can get that crown is to not care what people have to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
Period. So that's why being a boss, which is in that position, you ain't gonna have a lot of friends. You ain't gonna have a lot of people that love you for real. At that point, they love you because they want to be next to you on the crown line, right? So, but you got to be able to stomach that. You got to be able to stomach the fact that this is a lone mission while right now while I'm here, and the only other people that I could be around who understand is gods, because I got the King of Spades next to me on this side, and I got the Ten of Clubs over here next to me on this side. And it only these aristocratic people can understand what I'm going through, because they've been through it. So
Mm-hmm.
they're the only ones that understand. They're up here on the crown line with me. So at that point, you can't fellowship with the people anymore like you want to. You got to put your boundaries up super strong, and you got to focus just on doing your job the best of your ability. And it's not a real friendly time in life until you get to the 10 of diamonds. Like she said, you're going to transit to the 10 of diamonds eventually. And then you might be able to take a load off at that point. You know what I mean? And take the responsibility off, and then just have fun, travel, and find yourself again. But while you in that seat has a purpose. You know what I mean? That seat has work to do. It has a 10 of spades in Saturn. You got a job to do in this seat. So you can't be about your feelings here.
Yeah. What does it mean to have a King of Spades in Saturn and Neptune? I'm a King
King
of
of
Clubs.
Spades Six of Clubs have a King of Spades in Saturn. And oftentimes they don't want to step up to really be that King of Spades. They oftentimes support other King of Spades, right? Because again, they also realize, because they have an Eight of Diamonds as well. They also realize that that's not a place where a lot of people don't like you. You know what I mean? And because the Six of Clubs has a Three of Hearts in Uranus, right? They really want to be that fun-loving, sociable, and they got a Queen of Hearts too. They want to be the life, the love, the life of the party. They want people to love them and all that other stuff. They want marriage, and they want all the lovey-dovey stuff, right? But they're destined to, or they're being pushed to step up and embrace the more powerful stuff. You know what I mean? Like using because they're the messenger. So using your messages and sharing your wisdom in a way that's powerful as a leader, stepping up, not jumping in a leader position and then jumping out real quick. The Three of Hearts could do. Well, I'm going to be a leader right now real quick, but then I'm going to step back and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. No, you are a leader. And it's hard for women to have that position, because that's traditionally, quote unquote, patriarchal man position, right? And that's the struggle you see with Jada Pinkett, right? Who has a King of Spades in Saturn, right? And right now she's a King of Spades. So she has to break out from being a quote unquote woman and a supportive woman to a leader in this new age. Remember, even in the Matrix, right? She played a leader, right?
Yeah.
So she got to be that leader in real life, and she probably doesn't really want to, because she sees the responsibility of being a leader, and she sees how people can try to tear you down, and she sees all of that. So trust me, there's fear there in being who she really can be.
Diamond, Six of Hearts and Pluto.
Six of Hearts and Pluto. Well, we went over a lot of Pluto. Aquarius talked about how, that shows up. The work that needs to be done and people not necessarily wanting to do that work. Well, Six of Hearts is Mars, and you've got Mars, Pluto. So you just literally are Scorpio, right? So that work that needs to be done during, sixes are about when things are going to come back that you need to address, right? So with Pluto, it definitely could have a lot to do with your intimate relationships. It could be discovery of something about an intimate relationship that can lead to a healing. If you're someone who has people that recycle back and forth into your life, you want to definitely look before before you answer those texts or those phone calls with Six of Hearts and Pluto, because it's going to be very intimate, right? But that intimate healing doesn't necessarily have to happen with the other person. It can happen just with you. That takes courage not to, because there obviously would be a lot of sexual tension there with somebody coming back into your life. So you want to decide whether or not you want to open up that door or not. But six is about discovery. So you can discover something about yourself, really build your chops emotionally, not be so connected to the person, and try to disconnect and get connected to yourself would be a great time with that Six of Hearts and Pluto, because the things that are going to come up, the triggers that are going to come up, are going to come up through the people that are reaching out to you. Yeah. So you will automatically assume that this person has something to do with it when it's not true. It's something that, because six is a ruled by Venus, and that's karma. The things that we do, the things that we attract in that second house, they become real in the seventh house. And sometimes we don't want to agree that we keep attracting the same things. So that Six of Hearts and Pluto, I would shut all the way down. I would make sure that anybody that is coming into my life, I would definitely pay attention to how I'm feeling. And anybody returning into your life, make sure that you want to do that work. Because if somebody returns into your life with a Six of Hearts and Pluto, it's going to hurt.
Well, she's right about the shutdown part, because that's exactly, any six in Pluto kind of puts you in a protected bubble. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you may want to meet somebody with a Six of Hearts. You may feel deep down inside somebody is coming. You know what I mean? And you don't want to force it. This is where you give up your control. You know what I mean? You don't want to force it, because you could wind up, bringing somebody in your life that's a mother. You know what I mean? You know what? You know what I mean? So you want to do, you want to stay in that bubble, right? This is also, the Six of Hearts is actually better for a professional person, like a professional relationship returning. Maybe there's been something that you've been working on professionally, and it just ain't seem to happen. Like, it's like, dang, why isn't this person giving me any type of play, or whatever the case may be? But with the Six of Hearts, that actually could manifest for you. Now, also understand that the Six of Hearts also represents Mercury retrograde time, right? So this could symbolize that someone is coming during the retrograde season, or this could also symbolize that someone is coming during Scorpio season, because that's Pluto, right? So you do have a kind of indication of when these people are going to show up by the placements that they're in.
So family, I'm looking at your questions. Just want to redirect the comments. If you are asking questions about what to expect this year, these ladies do give personalized readings, so book readings with them. This is not a yearly reading session. This is for more focused questions. So I'm going to stick to those. And
Jazz, there's one that I want you to look at, the one where she asked about how do you use the yearly, the 7 year.
I saw that one. Yeah,
I want that one.
All right, so answer that one, because we have another one that comes up with the pre-birth. She's 44, and she wants to know how she has all these diamonds in her chart in the pre-birth year. So 7-year spread. Let's go.
So you need to, for when you're looking at these different placements, you want to have a question. That's how I start. The question that I have and what I'm looking for, that's how I start. If it's something that is going to fit within that yearly, well, you always want to start with the yearly spread. But you're looking at something that could be timed, then it could be within that 7 years, and then narrowing it down. Say you find it in the 7 years, then you want to narrow it down to your yearly. So it's always me and how you're looking for things, because you want to take it down to your weekly or your 7 weekly. I will always start with my yearly spread and then build it out to the 7-year spread, or the 7-year spread and come back to the yearly spread, depending on what you always have questions. Ask yourself questions of what you're looking for, and then find out what the card is, and then start exploring, because there's no one way to do it. It's just you could go down in the rabbit hole and be down in that rabbit hole for a long time. So ask yourself a question to discover what you're looking for.
Yeah. Somebody asked about that King of Hearts. I love that King of Hearts. King of Hearts is courage. Courage with a K. That's what it is. You got to be courageous. And somebody asked about the fame. The King of Hearts, you supposed to be famous for whatever you do. You don't have to be a singer or an actor, but whatever you do, you're gonna be well known for doing. You know what I mean? So that's
Mhm.
what that is. And you got to be willing to put yourself out there with the King of Hearts. That's the big thing. Like the King of Hearts, like your life is just not gonna be what you want it to be if you're not willing to get on the stage and put yourself out there. Also, it means that whatever you do, you got a built-in talent. You know what I mean? So you got to use your talent, your expressive talent in whatever you do. I don't care if you're a doctor. If you're a King of Hearts, I have a King of Hearts. You're that doctor that gets on TikTok after they doing, you know what I mean? After they do their surgery, they go out and dance a jig and blah blah blah. And guess what? People remember you and they love you. You're that beloved doctor because you dance, you get up and dance, or you sing, or you do a little rap, or you do something. That's the King of Hearts. No matter who you are, your talent is going to be expressed through your field. You know what I mean? And people are going to love you for it. And that's really and that's great in fields where people, especially like boring stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I could think of back in the days trying to learn cardology. Maybe you know what I mean? Without the little whatever, it just might not captivate certain people's attention, you know? So, but if you want people to learn something, it's creative, because the King of Hearts has a Jack of Spades and Saturn. You got to get creative in your delivery. So you are going to be delivering hard to understand concepts to people in a creative way. And you're going to in turn educate the people who need to learn in that way. There are people who need to learn things like that. There are people who can't go to a class and just have somebody lecture. They're just gonna fall asleep. They like a narcoleptic. They just gonna be like, you know what I mean? And they really want to learn it, but it's how it's being taught to them that it doesn't work for them. But if you got a King of Hearts, you're gonna be that teacher they never forget. And they're not gonna forget what they learned. So there's a place for you.
Your Majesty, you had a question about how you learn, and so Aquarius gives master classes. You could check her on her Instagram at Aquarius Maximus, and Diamond gives classes as well. You could check her out at diamonds_8 on Instagram. And so definitely join the classes to learn more, make that investment into yourself. Now we have a question, a Jack of Clubs, who is in 44 age spread, and she wants to know what it means that she has all these diamonds in her spread.
Well, you are discovering your value. Like you're getting that value that's going to push you over the top, because a lot of Jack of Clubs, they get stuck in that one place. Like they're not feeling the passion enough to make them get out and go where they need to go. You know what I mean? Like it's not enough oomph yet, right? So at 44, you get to come face to face with values, like something that is strong enough to drive you to make that leap. Your next year, your next birthday, you're gonna make a real leap. But it's values that make you do that. You got to know what you want to go after what you want. You know what I mean? And it got to be that powerful. So you get that powerful introduction to values, and you get to experiment, experience different experiences, and know, well, do you like this? Do you like that? Do you like this person? No, I don't want to do this no more. I'm throwing this out. Oh, I really want to do this. Oh, and the money is there too. Oh, yeah, definitely. The universe will show you all of the things that are available if you do this thing. Inspiration. We're inspired by values. That's the planet. We're inspired by the desire. That's the value, the diamond's desire. We're inspired by desire. So this is to light that fire of desire in you, so that you take that leap that maybe you should have taken 10 years ago, 20 years, or whatever, but you're going to take it now.
He said he's not familiar with Diamond. I'm her mother.
Checkmate.
We kind of look alike, right? So I'm her mother. So anybody not familiar, well, I'm really her sister, but her mother kind of left her with it was a long story, but she calls me mom, but I'm really her sister. You can see when you're looking at it. So, but they like to call me mom, but as you can tell, I'm not her mom, right?
I love that. And Your Majesty, that's diamonds_EIGHT. Spell out the 8.
Yes, spell out the eight because they would give you the eight. It was already taken. But it's cooler. I like it like that, right? And then my YouTube, you can find my YouTube, this Diamonds. I have a YouTube, and we will be doing this next Tuesday on my YouTube channel. So we bouncing back and forth so we can get that flavor that you savor, neighbor. I like that.
Yeah, because we really too Ada Diamonds, so she couldn't get it all on her channel. I got a hidden power Ada Diamonds too, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna use my Ada Diamonds too. Y'all, we gotta do it on my channel one week, and we'll do it on her channel. I told you, two Ada Diamonds can't stay in the same place, so somebody got to go to one person's kingdom, and go to another person's kingdom. You know, it got to go down like that.
She said she got Queen of Spades and Mercury, so that makes you a what? What does a Queen of Spades and Mercury make you?
Queen of Spades and Mercury. So
Five of
Queen of
Diamonds.
Spades and yeah, Five of Diamonds. So that means that your childhood, you had somebody that was on your neck, foot to the neck when you was a child, you know, and you probably had that ability to be foot to neck to children too. but you know, you don't want to be foot to neck because you remember how that was when you was a kid, you know. But yeah, it's basically, you know, anytime you have a king or a queen in a childhood, it could be very difficult for children that have kings and queens because first of all, you're walking around, you are the king or queen, and you're in front of adults, and that you're that kid that they're gonna be like, you need to watch your mouth. You too grown. You know what I mean? You that kid. You're that one. You too grown. You need to watch your mouth. So what? You the one getting slapped in your mouth, or you the one getting whooped. You get the harsh punishments. You're the one that get in trouble when all the kids did it, but you're gonna be the one that you should have known better. You know what I mean? Because you're a king or you're a queen. So automatically you get the heat, you get the fire. So people don't understand that. You know, I tell them, I say, man, if you had a king and you had a queen, there was no being a kid when you was a kid, you know. It was all you walking with some big dog energy, you know, big boss energy. And, you know, back in the days, our adults, they didn't like that. You know, our parents and grandparents didn't like kids that had big boss energy. But now we're in Aquarian age. We love it. We know what to do with them. Be like, oh, you're a big boss? Okay, do this. Let me put you in some big boss work. How about that? You know, so nowadays, if you got a kid with a queen of spades, you're going to make them clean. Queen of spades is the maid. You know what I mean? Be like, oh, you got big boss energy. So here you go. Here's that mop. Get to work. You know what I mean? Whatever. But really though, with the queen of spades, you know that they have they have a lot of creative talents, right? That may be far ahead of their age. So a queen of spades is going to be put in positions that are maybe not be age appropriate. Like they may be a young model. You know what I mean? Like what's her name? Rihanna, right? So she got into the music industry at a young age. She was like 14 or 15, I think, when her album came out. So because she's a queen of spades, so she's not going to be in age appropriate situations because she's literally an old woman in a little kid's body. You know what I mean? So that's what a queen of spades is. You are an old woman in a little kid's body. You came back to extend your life. You know what I mean? Like that spirit was like, I wasn't done. When they left, it was like, I wasn't done. I'm back to finish it off in this life. And I want to get it as quickly as possible. That's another thing with the fives. Like, I want to get it now. I want to get it as quickly as possible. I don't want to wait. She said I was always right. But that's the thing. I'm not saying that you ain't right. You know, you likely are. You's a king. You right. You know better. But the queen of spades is also the card of judgment. And people don't like to be judged. Not especially adults. They don't like to look in kids' eyes and have this feeling of judgment coming from anybody. Actually, people don't like queen of spades from nobody. So from a kid, it's even worse. So they're gonna snatch you up and they gonna whoop you. You know what I mean? Honestly, they gonna whoop you. They're gonna be like, I'm gonna show you who boss. Don't look at me with them boss eyes. They could be like, I'm gonna show you can't do nothing to me. You know, that unfortunately that's how it is. That's the type of thing that drives people want to understand why parents get driven to drugs and alcohol. You know what I mean? They can't face their shadow in their kids. You know, they can't face the judgment that's coming through the kids. So they do things to run away from that, to escape that, because they ran away from their parents and here they go giving birth to their parents. Imagine. You know what I mean? Like imagine, like I ran away from my parents, now I gave birth to my parents. What the hell am I gonna do?
So Danielle wants to know, why do the Queen of Diamonds have so many challenges to face? So many odd numbers in the spread.
Because that is the peak of success. You know, the Queen of Diamonds sits in the Saturn row in the grand solar spreads. So that means that they are here to be successful. They are here to crystallize their creativity, to make it into something real. There are cards who have a lot of creativity, but they don't necessarily have that Saturnian energy to crystallize it. You know what I mean? Like the Queen of Hearts, for instance. They live in Neptune, you know, so it may take the Queen of Hearts much longer and going through so much trials and tribulations to finally make something of themselves, you know, because they don't have that Saturn energy to crystallize it for them. Saturn is like welcome. It should be welcome because it makes things real. You know what I mean? Like it makes it real, real. So if you want to know how that is, you could be one of those cards that get that fast money that comes in and is gone tomorrow. Here today, gone tomorrow. So there's a lack of Saturn there to contain the money so that it could be there and you could grow. Same thing with creativity. It could be a lack of Saturn to take that thing. I always use the story of Pinocchio when I talk about Saturn, because Pinocchio was a creative thing of Geppetto, right? And he wanted to be real. He wanted to be a real boy, right? And Geppetto couldn't make him a real boy. And he was very hurt and upset and everything because he wanted to be real. So the missing thing was Saturn to come along to crystallize that and make him real, you know, and make it a real thing. So otherwise, when Saturn is not there, it's a fleeting feeling that, you know, I'm just temporary. I don't even know what I am. I'm just whatever, you know. So the Queen of Diamonds has that ability to make creations real. Like you'll find a lot of Queen of Diamonds writing books, doing this, doing that, and really like, you know, creating these companies that have all this money and this, that, and the third. Their job, again, is to take that and turn that creativity into something solid and that they're going to pass on and that they're going to be recognized and known for because they transform into a king of clubs.
Wow, we have this Jack of Hearts and Eight of Clubs relationship. Diamond, what's up with that?
Always. That is always
Always.
the pair. That is the evil pair. I'm trying to tell you, run, don't do it. Is always, that's always the Jack of Hearts and the Eight of Clubs. Two God cards on different degrees. Two God cards. Again, two different types of King of Spades, an emotional and a thinking King of Spades, a thinking King of Spades, and an emotional King of Spades. Right? It's honestly, to be totally honest, it's definitely not for the weak hearted. You know, I think that it's definitely like looking at your mirror for sure. You're going to see a whole lot of mirror stuff going on, but because you're two fixed cards, it's hard to see that you're looking at yourself. You know what I mean? So you'll see the worst in that person, and that person will see the worst in you. But it's hard to see that you got the same problems going on as they do. It's hard to see that. Yeah, it's very toxic. It's a real toxic connection. I'm not going to lie. Like, the only way I could really see it working is if you're really old,
What
you
it
know?
has to be, you have to elevate yourself with that energy. And that's a spiritual awakening because you have two fixed cards. You have emotional fixed card, which is a Jack of Hearts, but also depends on planetary rulers. They play a big part in that too, because the Jack and the King, those two cards don't move, but the other cards do move. So
Yeah.
the elevation comes from that part of you that is doing the work. because you came here for a reason. You have those two cards that definitely don't have the karma. They came back here with a lot more. They came back here with a lot more knowledge than the average person, but you can't spend time in the mundane world. So if you're someone is upside down, that you spend a lot of time in the mundane world and not in the spiritual world, it's going to be difficult. But if you're someone that understands spirit, your spiritual continents, and you are more thoughtful and you spend more time with yourself. What I find with the Jack of Hearts and the Eight of Clubs is that lust after each other. Is that desire.
It's addiction. It's addiction. Both of them have very, very hard addiction. When the thing is, when you're a fixed card, addiction is horrible. Because once you get addicted, then you stuck. Like once you caught, that's it. It'll take you years to get out of that addiction when you're a fixed card, because you're fixated. Literally the word fixated. So you will be fixated on things. And this particular fixation will be that passionate love fixation, you know what I mean? And fairy tale fixation and all different types of stuff. So it really isn't, I'm telling you, and you see it over and over again. Like I know so many people that wind up, the Jack of Hearts winds up falling for it. Eight of Clubs, and the Eight of Clubs is playing games, because the Eight of Clubs can play games. They can play games. They have a Jack of Spades pushing them forward right behind them, right? So they can play any game they want to play. They can jump in, they can jump out, they can be this person, they can be that person. It's a little bit easier for them than it is for the Jack of Hearts. The Jack of Hearts is God, they who they are, and they're going to be the giver, and the Eight of Clubs is going to be happy to receive, so it just becomes really, really, really lopsided, and whatever.
But, work on your spiritual side. If you have that test and that's your karma while you're here on this earth, you better master it, because that's your karma. It is definitely, if you keep those cards keep running into each other, because you come back here and you don't succeed. Both of you don't have to, but if I'm one of those cards, I need to do the work and figure out how I can elevate myself, right? Because it's definitely the test that you came back here to accomplish something on this side. You did it before.
Can you see that? Look what they having me post, Ma.
Oh yeah. Stop calling me that. My name is Diamond.
Nah. I just heard that. And I say it in the New York way, the New York Jewish way. Nah. Nah.
Just heard that.
All over exaggerated.
Like an old Jewish woman. Ma. I listen to New Yorkers now, and I swear it's like, man, New Yorkers have such a, I don't care, they could be these black people in the world, they're gonna have a hardcore Jewish half Italian accent. It's so crazy. Like you sound like a mixture of everybody, but mainly Italian Jewish.
Well, maybe they sound black.
No, they don't. They got a distinct sounding. That's why people think we sound the way we do from New York. They got a distinct.
But I'm saying we don't know where they
listen to my brother, the Ud man. I be listening to him talk. I'll be like, oh my gosh, you sound like an old man, like an old Jewish banker. Like seriously. And he is a Six of Diamonds, so that's interesting. But that's what he sound like.
I don't have a Jewish accent. I'll just let you guys know. I've been in New York my entire life.
See, you know what? You flavor it with your King of Hearts. So when you flavor it with your King of Hearts, then it's not going to be that way. So we could flavor it. If you got the Jack of Spades and the King of Hearts, you could flavor it. You know what I mean? But if you're just a dry New Yorker, and you having a conversation, it's all coming out. You know what I mean? It's all coming out.
All right, man. So she says she dry. I'm not dry. I call my mother mommy.
Yeah, well, see, if you do mommy, you're gonna sound different. But then listen, you're gonna sound like you're Dominican or something. But you know what I mean? You have a little different accent. But if you do man, Ma, you know who you sound. Sound you from Bensonhurst. You know what I mean? It's like serious or Canarsie. you know.
I love it. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you for purchasing my book. Now we have a question. I think this will be the last one because this is a question that we don't get often. How do I read direct and vertical cards?
What are you looking
So
for?
So first of all, to get the full explanation of that, you got to learn the grand solar spreads.
Mhm.
However, when you're reading it this way, like in the app, it's you're gonna do more of a magnetic proximity thing, right? So the direct cards are stronger, the vertical cards are supportive cards to it. They're more to the story, but the direct cards are the stronger supportive influence. They even draw your attention more. If you look at the spread, you're more drawn to the direct cards than you are the vertical cards. The vertical cards are just going to tell an additional story to that top card. You know what I mean? So sometimes they say, well, the direct card can be the incident, the date, or whatever, and the vertical card can be a person or whatever. So it's going to tell a supporting story to the direct card. It goes in tangent with that direct card. They kind of go hand in hand. So you could have a positive, I guess you could say, a fairly positive direct card, but a challenging vertical card. You know what I mean? So it could symbolize that although ultimately this is a real positive thing, there's going to be some challenging circumstances associated with it. That type of thing.
And like she said, you need to learn the grand solar squares. And we have our class that starts because I teach the grand solar squares. So you can always come on to our introduction to the grand solar squares so you can learn to decode your life with the cards because it's so much texture. Because if the vertical card could be your vertical Mars, it could be your vertical Venus, it could be your vertical Saturn. It's so much texture that goes into that it's difficult to say how you do it because it's like, for me, you always start with a question. It's like, what is the question? So this person is Saturn to me. So then you're looking at that to see, wow, this person, I have this Saturn relationship with this person. Then it's a 2. So this is Moon Saturn. Then it's a diamond. So this is about material resources. So it's so many ways to look at the placements of the cards that it's not going to be one size fits all. So join the class is coming up on reading and decoding the grand soul class, and definitely get my book. My book is there. That will help you to decode the cards and the grand solar squares. It has a diagram in there telling you how to read the grand solar squares and how to find those things. So, but you'll be learning forever. I'm telling you, next week you'll have another question that will add on to that because it's the rabbit hole. And the cards are living, breathing things. And you see the grand souls going behind my head because those are my holy grail. That's what I use to determine everything. So the grand solar is something that you definitely will be learning how to read for the rest of your life because every time I look at them, I get another story. It's like weaving the story. Like today's a 5 of spades, right? So you want to learn about the 5 of spades. So you look and see where it sits at. And we know that sits in Venus, Mars, right? The 5 of spades sits in Venus, Mars on here. So then we start decoding it from there, knowing that those two, that's the first house, the second house, and then the 7th house. And then we start decoding them to see how does that energy go together? Because we know those are personal planets, right? So we know that this is a person that needs a lot of attention, wants a lot of attention. That's a person that can be youthful all of the time. So reading those grand solar squares are key to understanding the placements and the different strategies that you want to determine when you're looking at the vertical, because you want to count. Because if you're looking at, say, if I'm looking at the 5 of spades and I want to see the relationship with the 10 of diamonds, I'm going to count 2 spaces and say that the 10 of diamonds has a Venus relationship to the 5 of spades, right? So there's so many ways to determine how to count, but you always start with a question. What are you looking for? What is happening? And then break that question down. Right? So
all right, ladies. Before we get out the room, before we get out the house, anything you want to plug? Any
Yes, I
upcoming
want to
events,
plug.
ideas, projects, workshops, books?
Yes,
Somebody,
if you're
somebody
in
real quick,
Atlanta,
somebody real quick. They mentioned that that Ton of Clubs is going through a King of Diamonds cycle, and she's about to be 16. She need to have her own little business. I'm pretty sure there's something she want to do,
Hmm.
and having a King of Diamonds will definitely make you want to take your creativity and make some money from it. You know what I mean? So this is the time to turn her into a mogul at 15 or 16, empower her by saying, hey, you want to start your own business or whatever the case may be, and she definitely needs something to liven up her life more. Like I said, that's earlier. The King of Diamonds has a King of Hearts pushing it forward. So if she's in school and it's boring and they're not teaching her in that creative way right now, yeah, she's not going to be feeling school. So this is the time where you got to focus more on her creativity. And if she has a King of Diamonds, this is a great time for her to learn an instrument, to learn how to play the piano, to do all of these different King of Diamonds type stuff in her life. I just had to add that because somebody asked about the kids. I can't ignore the kids. When they ask a question about the kids, got to tell them about the kids because
yeah,
people
that
just
part.
don't know.
Yeah, for sure. But that's the
Yeah.
thing. That's the thing that we want to empower you to be able to answer those questions for yourself for sure. She said,
What is your YouTube channel? Somebody asked. I gotta
if you
post
don't
it here.
stop saying man,
What is it?
it's Diamond. My YouTube channel is it's yes, Diamond,
They
right?
give
I
you an
believe
ad. So just
it's an ad.
Diamond. Yeah, they do give you an ad.
No, it's not Diamond.
I'm at
It's just
Aquarius
Diamond.
Maximus. So just look at Diamond
I'm
8.
just telling you, it's just
Oh,
Diamond. It's at Cardology. That at it's at Cardology, and it's 1111. That's the at, but I thought it was just Diamond. But it's at Cardology. Everything is in my link in my bio. My books are in my link in my bio. The class, if you want to know about the class, just go to 11 University. It's Leven University.com and click and you'll find the class where you can sign up. You'll find my books. I have both of my books are on sale. My YouTube is in there and on my Instagram. Everything is there at diamonds_8 and you can find all of the information on there. We have tomorrow, if you're in Atlanta, I'm having a metaphysical we're having this it's all things metaphysical, and it's in Lithonia if you're in the area, and it's you can find the flyer on my page. It's from 7 to 9, and we're going to be talking about all things astrology, cardology, and numerology. I'm on Clubhouse, and we do a room on Clubhouse at 10 a.m. talking about all things cardology, astrology, and numerology. We're out there in those streets, so you can find us, and discover for the rest of your life. I'm telling you, we talk about this all day long. So if you are like us and you want to develop yourself, we have communities that you can just join in. And on both of us, I don't know how many videos Aquarius has, but I have tons of videos on my YouTube channel and tons of videos on my Instagram channel where you can sit and learn so much about yourself,
and
because we do
and
this. Go ahead.
oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Also, we dang, I know it was something else, and I just forgot. That's why I be trying to cut off because I forget easy. Like, dang, I don't forgot. Anyway, what I got going on. So in a couple of days, my relationship app is going to be launching because I'm almost finished. If I could stay up tonight and get the rest of the
Nice.
content in. So Dateable is what it's called. Cardology relationship app. So you get to plug in your little people and see what they about and what your combination is about and what that's about. So working on that. Also getting out the book, The Karmic Blueprint is going to be coming out. And my Grand Solar Spread book is going to be coming out. I'm not getting no sleep, y'all. And there's my crypto book, Crypto for My People, which is on Amazon. So look at that, Crypto for My People on Amazon. That's a really great.
Stop saying dag blasted.
Whatever. That's a really great introductory book to crypto, and also why I'm doing guap coin and the purpose of guap coin and that type of thing. I'm just trying not to forget anything, because then I'd be
Yeah,
like, I
but
gotta
is a space holder.
tomorrow
Really.
I'm doing mini readings. So if you want a mini reading, you inbox me on Instagram. Don't let nobody inbox you. You inbox me, and we can set that up too. I do mini readings like a couple of times a week. And I got some tomorrow, and probably the next day is going to be Friday, where I'm doing mini readings, and that's it. And then I'm here at this great place on Tuesdays. We're gonna be having fun. I'm gonna be doing more YouTubes too. I'm actually getting ready to launch a YouTube where I do the pick a pile readings, because I love those. And I'm gonna be using just the playing cards, of course, and a couple of other stuff. So I'm gonna be doing that too. So I'm going to be doing more YouTube. I'm trying, y'all.
Yeah,
Really
she's
trying.
in between the 10,000 things she's doing, right? I'm just
Really
saying.
trying.
Give it, leave it to her. But I put up my Instagram up there, diamonds_8. So you can go there, and in my bio, everything is in my bio. In case I didn't get a chance to say everything. Yes, please subscribe to my YouTube, because it's got so much dope stuff on there. I appreciate y'all. And Instagram, like I said, the posts, I got thousands and thousands. We both got all of that on our, come on now. But I'm the mother, so you gotta,
You gotta keep saying that, huh?
Nah.
Sound like a sheep or something. Bah. But thank you guys for supporting.
My 8 of Diamonds grandma didn't like it too, because I used to call her grandma. She'd be like, "Why you always call me grandma?" I used to be like, "Grandma," and she was like that. And she was born on the same day too. She was like, "Hey, don't call me grandma."
Yeah, but she does that stuff when she wants to block. She's a blocker. She said, "Did you mention your Oracle deck?" Did she say?
Yes, the Oracle deck would be going out as well.
Nice.
So it'll come to me first, so I can inspect it, and then I'll be sending them out. But yes, my Oracle deck. I'm excited about that.
Yeah. So thank you guys. We will see you next Tuesday on my channel. Thank you very much. So look for the flyer. It will be on my page. Her page, it'll be an hour before, because that's just right. Mine will be. Mine will be.
All righty, y'all. Good night.
Night, y'all.
Ooh, child.